Welcome to this Jamesthebikeguy video where we're checking out the newly updated Gen 4 version of Trek's FX. Now, the bike specifically we're checking out is the FX3, which is the top-end aluminum version that slots in just before you go to their carbon fiber series of these fitness hybrid bikes. And in this video, we're going to talk about everything they've changed for 2025, and there's quite a bit. So if this kind of thing's interesting to you, I suggest you stick around and consider subscribing if this video brings you value. Trek FX3. Now the FX3 slots in as the top level version of the FX in an aluminum frame set. And before we get too far into it, I just want to explain what the FX is and why there's so many different styles to choose from. Now the FX itself is Trek's Fitness Hybrid. And what that means is it's a bike that's really designed for somebody who just wants a bike, maybe wants to be able to use their bike for some fitness and some commuting, or is really just looking for something lightweight and fun to be able to ride around their neighborhood or on a bike path. You know, think of the FX as kind of like the small SUV of cars. It's really a do anything, go anywhere, mostly focused for on-road, but it does have tires that are just wide enough and the frame is strong enough for a slight bit of dirt road or off-roading. If you say took this to a campsite, took this riding on some rough roads, found some gravel, what have you, the bike is pretty much in for it. And that is what's really cool about the FX, as well as the FX spans a huge range of price points. Now this FX3 for 2025 in front of us is $1,049, so it's not cheap, but it's also not expensive, at least by modern bike standards. And they start all the way down at their FX1, which utilizes the same frame, but lower spec parts, components for things like that. They have an FX2, which is a Goldilocks spot. And then above this FX3 is their FX Sport series, which comes with a carbon fiber frame and is really focused on being a performance hybrid for some gravel riding and city commuting. But let's swing back into the bike in front of us. First off is going to be the positioning. If you take a look at the size medium in front of us, you'll see the handlebars are reasonably upright and the reach is relatively short. So this is going to fit in a nice upright and controlled position, much like you'd get out of a hardtail mountain bike. And that combines some comfort position and that ability to get that fitness or that performance out of this bike. The other things that they've changed, one that's really welcome in my opinion, is this integrated cable routing. Now, the prior generation bike did have integrated cable routing, but it came into the side of the frame. It was a little bit fussy looking, but if you check this out, it is so nice and clean, and I love how it just tucks right into the headset there. Makes for a nice look, nice integration, super clean handlebar setup, and really clean looking frame. Now, the frame itself has been lightened up and beefed up a little bit for 2025, including features such as in this back end, we've got a new rear chainstay and seat stay setup. It is able to mount one of those cafe style wheel locks. You've got rack mounts. You do have fender mounts for the bike, including the little mount just in front, or just behind, I should say, of the bottom bracket. And then up front, the new integrated fork. This is a carbon fiber fork that's pretty much stolen off of the FX Sport series bike. So a nice fork includes what they call through skew. So it's almost like a through axle, but with a traditional skewer up front, allowing for easier alignment of the disc brake when you put your wheel back in. And it has mounts to be able to run fenders and even a pizza-style tray carrier up front if you wanted to. Now, the aluminum frame that's on this bike is made out of what they call their Gold Alpha aluminum. So that means it's going to be shaped, as you can see here, and butted for losing a bit of weight. That's where they have internally a little bit thicker and thinner spots, thicker by, say, where the stressors or the welds are, and thinner through the center to allow the bike to give you a little bit more give, as well as reduce some weight. Now, interestingly, we'll get into the weight at the ends, but of a lot of the things Trek has talked about has been the lightweightness of the FX series. However, the FX3 is ever so slightly heavier than the last generation. Now, we're talking within a quarter pound, so it's really not much to talk about, but it is pretty cool that they're able to add a lot of those features we just talked about while keeping the weight fairly low. And additional things Of course, you've got bottle mounts on down tube and seat tube. You have these mounts that come underneath the top tube. And if we can get that zoomed in, you can see there, that allows you to run a frame bag in the bike. All this stuff just looks super nice. And I like how even the head tube, you've got the smoothed out welds, integrates its look down into the chunkier carbon fiber fork. Now that carbon fork has been a staple on the FX3 because the carbon up front is going to help reduce some vibrations that go up to the handlebar, save some weight. And in the lineage, you'll see on the FX2, they go to an aluminum fork, and the FX1 is a steel fork. This being an FX3 gets Shimano's brand new Q's drivetrain. And the Q's drivetrain is this mountain bike inspired rear derailleur that operates a wide range rear cassette, a 11 to 48 tooth rear cassette, while driven in the front by a single ring. Now this single ring strikes a balance between the 2x system that came on the prior generation with a much wider range out back so that you're going to get similar climbing capabilities and only a slightly lighter hardest gear, which really means that the shifting on the bike has just gotten a lot more simple for effectively the same amount of gear range. So on this handlebar, we've got our aluminum blender stem, which allows for mounts that slide in there for your cell phone, lights, what have you. An aluminum handlebar with these ISOZone grips. This handlebar has a slight cutout to it, which allows them to run a much thicker viscoelastic grip for a comfortable position on the bike. And then you'll notice we have this 1x10 shifter. So you've got 10 speeds out back and no shifter on the left side. One less thing to worry about or have to maintain. And the shifting is nice and crisp with a thumb button to go to harder gear and an index finger goes to an easier gear. So it clicks right back to that gear. Now, right side is going to be rear brake and the left side is the front brake, which is a hydraulic 2-piston Shimano caliper on these 160 millimeter rotors. Now, part of the beauty of a disc brake system is you no longer have that clamp that's going down onto the rim, meaning that you've got much wider service life. You don't have to worry about hitting potholes, ruining your ride. And it allows them to wrap these tires or these wheels with the H2 comp tire. This is in a 700 by 35 millimeter wide setup. However, this bike can fit all the way up to a 40 millimeter tire. And with the capability of being able to run that 40 millimeter tire, it opens up a wide range of riding styles you could take this bike on, because a 40 mil tire is what you traditionally see on, say, a gravel bike, meaning that we've got lots of tire clearance to be able to use this bike for more than just on-road, really going into that placement where I said at the beginning that this is basically a bike. If you don't know what bike you want, or you want a bike that can kind of do it all, there is really no better step than checking out a fitness style bike such as this Trek FX. Thanks for joining me to check out the brand new Gen 4 version 2025 Trek FX3. Go ahead and let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. While you're at it, be sure to hit subscribe and browse the channel to see more videos like this to check out as well.